Mm. Mahara Wayman, welcome to Empower Network TV.
Thank you so much.
I'm so excited to hear because you started by saying, you were cordially invited to leave your organization at COVID. You're like, I get to go? I get to go?
It was awesome to be so pleasantly. I wasn't surprised, but I was pleasantly happy. That came as a surprise that I was
Let's
so
talk
happy.
about that. Let's talk about why were you happy?
You know, I had had a niggle for a few years that I wasn't 100% in love with my work anymore. And I was denying it because I really wanted to be the person that I was pretending to be, which was upward moving, making a difference, totally loving the corporate world. Um, but I knew that I knew I wasn't really honoring my truth. I knew that I wanted to do more than that. I just didn't know what it was. So I got the niggle. I ignored it. I started to think about it, ignored it some more. Then COVID hit, and then the niggle was like a hit over the head. But I still ignored it because, gosh darn it, I was going to make it through COVID and help my company navigate this whole new, system that we were in. But a year into it, I got the call, and I had given the talk to hundreds of my employees, so I knew it verbatim. So when they opened their mouth, I went, "Hey, this is the talk. I get to go. Oh, it's okay. We don't have to go all the way, do we? Because I get to go." And they're like, "Oh no, we have to finish. Like, I got to do the speech." So I
Let me
patiently
finish.
waited.
Let me finish.
Yeah, I was texting people, "Oh my God, guess what? I get to go." And my family was gobsmacked and very upset until I started laughing and smiling. And I said, "Guys, it's okay. The universe listened. It's going to be fine." And they're like, "Okay, Mom." Holy shit, my mom just lost her job, but she's okay. So that was the attitude I took, and I really felt it.
You said something 2 minutes ago. You said, I was really wanting to be the person I was really wanting to be or really thought I should be. Can you talk about that? Because that principle is so key in life.
Oh man, I bought into the idea that in order to be successful, I had to look good, sound good, be good, make lots of money, and provide, co-provide with my husband this life for our family. And I loved it, and I actually did love my job until the day I realized I didn't. And when I realized I didn't love my job, it was because I had grown away from my core values. And it happened, I talk about this a lot. It happened about 9 o'clock at night, watching TV with my youngest daughter, mommy daughter time. My laptop was beside me and it dinged. I got an email, and I did not hesitate to turn my back to her as she was talking to me. I just completely stopped. I just ignored her. I like, the laptop comes first. And I opened it. I answered an email, which, by the way, was not important at all, except it was in my mind. And when I closed the email and went back to the television, my daughter, who was about 13 at the time, said, "Excuse me, but what was that?" And I'm like, "Oh, honey, I just had to, do something." She goes, "No, you didn't. This is my time. Can't believe you." And she called me out, and I was embarrassed. I was very ashamed because I thought, first of all, wow, way to go, sweetheart. Mommy raised you well. But then I thought, wow, shame on you, Mahara. You turned your back on your child. For what? For what? So that was the start of it. And that got me questioning why I was continuing to do what I was doing. And truthfully, in my mind, I made my bosses out to be kind of the bad ones, but I was the one that agreed to it. They didn't make me answer the emails late at night. They didn't make me do the extra work to be seen as somebody that was worthy of a promotion. I felt I needed to because I didn't believe in me on my own. I didn't grow up in a corporate environment. I felt a bit like a fraud. Like, any day now, they're going to realize I'm just a really cool chick with a fun sense of humor, as opposed to somebody that should be, doing the work that she's doing. That's a big wake up call.
And you said something 2 or 3 minutes ago. Again, you said, you got off your core values. Cool. Can we talk about that? How did you discover your core values? And how did you realize one day you're off them? What is that process like?
That's, what? It's never ending, to be honest. I just finished a retreat where I taught core values, and even I struggled a bit going, okay, what do I mean by that? Okay, take a deep breath. So I have always loved and been very proud of the fact that I have beautiful children. They're intelligent, they're lovely, they're grounded, they're connected. My husband and I have done a really great job with them. And, one of my core values is family, and is to honor them and raise them so that they are productive humans in society. And I felt that because I turned my back on her without even thinking about it, I was turning my back on the family, and I was putting somebody else's dream ahead of my own and those of my children. So that was the first niggle of it. But I'll be honest, I think about it all the time. And it's very easy for me to get sucked into the game that so many of us have agreed to play, which is, I don't want to say one upping, but seeing something and going, oh, people like that, then I better do that. Versus, oh, isn't that nice that people are doing that? That's not for me. I'm going to do this. I still struggle with that a bit.
You're hitting so many key points here, Mahara, like that are, I guess they're existential. It's not limited to work. It's everything. It's knowing who you are, juggling life. Are you answering your call, which you decided through this process to answer the call of being a? Let's talk about now what you're doing.
Sure. So I, when I left, I just knew I wanted to do something different, lead something differently. And the first thing I did 2 days after leaving my work was I started a website and I began to blog because I've always loved writing. And about 2 weeks into it, I realized it was too much work to blog on a regular basis. I was exhausted trying to come up with ideas. So I wanted to do something that was a little bit more relaxed and more authentic. So I questioned what it was I loved about my work. And what I came up with was I loved helping people. I worked for a global health and wellness company, and I helped people transform their lives. So I began to look at what that meant for me. So I took a bunch of courses and I decided, oh, I'm going to grow an online business. I'm going to be a coach because I'm actually a coach, but I'm going to do it officially. And the first course I took, they said, so make sure you have a social media presence. And I'm like, what? And they said, do you have an Instagram account? And I'm like, Instagram? What the hell is Instagram? I remember texting my teenager. Well, she was about 19 at the time, 18 at the time. And I said, honey, can you help me with Instagram? Like, you don't have an Instagram account? I'm like, no. In fact, she called it IG. And I'm like, what? So I started from the ground up developing an online presence. I began with motivational quotes. Now I coach women. I help women become badass or understand that they're badass. So I do group coaching, one-on-one coaching. And I've written a book. I just started a podcast. I'm just doing whatever I can to get out there and really get the conversation started, because I think that many women don't believe they're badass. They think you have to be, a certain way. You got to earn a certain amount or look a certain way to feel badass. And I call bullshit. I think being badass is just putting your hand on your heart and going, I matter. This is me. This is what I care about. This is what I'm willing to put up with. This is what I'd love to do. This is what I struggle with. That type of behavior is badass. And I'm passionate that women understand that. So I'm just getting the word out there.
I love it. It's like you're just unleashing this fire. You're just unleashing it and coming back to, or are you coming back to what you always were? Are you aligning with what's that process look like for you? Is it an uncovering of what you forgot, or are you discovering what you didn't know was there? Is it both?
I think it's a combination of both, actually. That's a really good question. I'm going to remember this for the next time I do a podcast and interview someone. But it's an underlying, it's a bit of both. When I got my certification, I did a year-long certification process to be a mastery method coach. And I took it because someone else had taken it and they highly recommended it. And I wanted letters behind my name. I wanted to say I was certified, and not just that I have a lifetime of helping people. I wanted to take some courses. And I remember that the first half of the course, the first 6 months, were all about learning the tools and going inside and doing the work. The second half was how to build a business. And I remember being so obnoxious in the first phone call group session with 400 people, thinking, guys, can we just get to the business part? I'm a happy person. I don't care. Like, I know how to coach. I just want to learn how to make money. And within, like a day or two of doing the work, I'm like, oh my God, I need help. I'm so glad I'm doing this course. So in a short version, there were things that I uncovered about me that I didn't realize. You know that saying, you don't know what you don't know? When I jumped in and did the work, I'm like, oh my God, I didn't know I had that limiting belief. Oh my God, that explains why I get nervous, or that explains why I beat myself up when I say things like that. So I went through a huge metamorphosis of unpeeling and rebuilding and rethinking how I view myself and how I view my childhood. It's been beautiful for me, not so beautiful for my siblings, because I bring it up to them and they look at me like I've lost my mind. And I'm like, guys, I'm not mad at you, but I want you to know that when you kept telling me that I should just shut up because I talk too much, I've been holding on to that for years. I know it was a throwaway comment for you. I know that as the baby in the family and a Sagittarius, I was talkative and vivacious and, always going a mile a minute. But your comments affected me. I chose to let them affect me. And it's made a difference in how I interact with people. And they're just they kind of don't really get it. And that's okay, because that's not their journey. This is my journey. So to answer your question, it's been a bit of both. It's definitely been a bit of both.
So what's on your horizon then? What is your 2023 going to hold for you? What are your sights set on?
Well, it's been so amazing so far. I just finished, I think I mentioned earlier to you before we started that I did my first retreat. And it was a week-long retreat in the Rocky Mountains with another coach that I work with. And it was a beautiful experience. So I've learned a lot. And I've learned that I want to do another retreat next year in the Caribbean. So it will be longer, and we're going to open it up to more people. So that's on the horizon. I also just launched my own podcast about 2 weeks ago. So learning how to market that and use it to support other people that I'm connecting with is also on my horizon. And I'm just about to finish my next book. So that's exciting.
Your next book. What is your next book on? And we should talk about your first book.
Well, my first book, this is so funny. My business coach, when 2 years ago, she was suggesting that I take one of my blogs and turn it into something that's called a lead magnet, give it away for free to get people to know me. And when she said, give it away for free, I'll be honest, I had a little rebellious in my gut that said, hell no, I'm not giving it away for free. And I said to her, thank you for the idea, but I think I'm going to turn it into a book and sell it. And she's like, okay. So I took a blog. Well, I looked at all of the blogs I'd done, and I realized that some of them had a pattern, which was there were big aha moments because I wrote about what I knew and I wrote about interesting stories. But many of them had a big lesson in them. So I pulled 7 or 8 and strung them into a book that I called Essential Insights for Living Your Best Life. And they were things about clarity and speaking your truth and being vulnerable and learning how to be non-judgmental. Things that I'm still working on doing because, man, oh man, now that I understand what it means to be judgmental, I'm like, oh my God, how have I not been struck down dead with all of the judgments that I walk through every day in my life? But so this is my first book, Essential Insights to Living Your Best Life. It's a sweet little book, very personal. A lot of the stories are about my mom and my relationship with my aged mother. Best mom ever. And then when she became old and she began to behave in a way that wasn't the mom I needed, I really struggled. She's 97 and she has dementia. And one of the stories I think is really beautiful because through my studies with getting certified, I learned about judgment and how to be less judgmental in conversations and to just be rather than expect. And I needed to do that with my mom when she phoned me, 27 times in one day. And the conversation was 5 minutes of the exact same. Who are you? Where do you live? And who looks after my account? Again and again and again. Finally, I let go of trying to fix her. And I just admitted that she was still my mom that I loved. She was still the best mom ever, even though I didn't recognize her. And it was very freeing for me. So the book is meant to be of help to people if you're ever have those types of situations. And there's some reflection exercises at the end. And it's actually a call to action. You know, guys, it's okay to be human. We're all human and it's okay. But if you want to feel better about your life, here are some lessons that I've learned that have helped me to feel better about my life. So that was my first book. And I'd like to share that I had a conversation with my mom a couple months after it was published, and I gave her a copy. I self-published it. And we're talking, and again, it was, who are you? Where do you live? Do you have kids? You know, that type of conversation. And then all of a sudden she went, oh, sweetheart, I meant to tell you, I'm so proud of you. I love the book. I'm like, who are you? And I said, Mom. And she goes, yeah, I'm looking at it right here. I especially like this story, but sweetheart, I'm not the best mom ever. We had like a 15-minute conversation where she was completely lucid. I hadn't had that in years. And I was so moved, especially when she said, I really appreciate the opportunity to do the exercises afterwards. And I said, really? Which exercise did you like the best? And she explained. And I said, why did you like that one best? And she said, well, I'm gonna cry. She said, it helps me to understand where I am and that it's okay. And I was like, oh my God, I wished I could have recorded the conversation. And then it was gone. And then she asked me who I was. And when it was over, I was very emotional. And I just thought, okay, now I know why I wrote the book. I didn't write it to build my business. I didn't write it to get clients. I wrote it to give my mom 15 minutes of lucidity and comfort. And
Wow.
that was everything to me. And I just thought, I don't even care if I sell another book. I really don't. It's like,
Wow.
oh, yeah, it was, whew. I've shed some tears over that memory for sure. Yeah.
Well, you have that one forever, and no one can ever, time won't take that away from you. That is
Yeah.
just beautiful.
Yeah, it was beautiful. My next book is completely different. It's a children's story um, based on my childhood growing up in Jamaica and the fact that my mom said to me once, there's that mom again. I was very little at my uncle's cottage and he had a stream in the back. And she was with me and we were looking at moss. And she said, sweetheart, if you're very, very quiet and you take your pinky finger and gently rub the moss, the fairies will come out. And of course, I rubbed it and the little moss flew up in the air and I lost my shit. Oh my God.
Oh, for real? For real? I didn't know that. They were joking. Okay.
If you rub moss, you know, the little leaves will kind of flow up. And anyway, that's the basis of the story. Miranda Bell. It's the adventures of Miranda and Mickey, a little 7-year-old Jamaican pygmy, and her sock monkey, best friend, go looking for magic in Nana's backyard. And every time they find magic, and when they go into the portal, they go to the land of magic where they experience an opportunity to learn a lesson. And it's all based on the chakras. And every time she learns a lesson, she grows a beautiful set of wings and it gets bigger and bigger. And it's just this really fun, not really meant for children's story, but it's almost done. I only have one chapter left to go.
Wow, that sounds amazing. Your story, your journey, your process with your mom, and you were the youngest of four or
I'm
youngest
the
of.
youngest of four. Yeah.
I can appreciate what you're saying about being close to your mom because my younger sister, who's the youngest of four, she's definitely was closest to my mom when my mom passed. That was very challenging for her because they were like, she was her emotional anchor. And wow, if my sister could get a moment like that, I'm so happy for you that you got that moment and that you were a part of what sparked that moment. You had a creative idea and then that turned into maybe one of your greatest gifts you ever received. Like, wow.
Yeah. It's so awesome.
Wow.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Okay, so people, how are people to connect with you? Do you have a website? Do you have a Facebook
I
group? What do you want
I
to?
do. You know what? Everything, all of my handles on social media, listen to me. Like I know what I'm talking about. Handles are my business name, which is Mindfulness with Mahara. So you can find me on Instagram, Mindfulness with Mahara. My website is www.mindfulnesswithmahara. And my Facebook is everything is Mindfulness with Mahara. And I have to laugh because I'm such an ass. I chose that name because of the alliteration. And after I chose it, everybody thinks that I teach mindfulness, which I do incorporate the idea of mindfulness, but I'm not actually a mindfulness teacher. I'm a mindfulness practitioner that really is a wordsmith. And I just fell in love with the alliteration. So true story. I'm just being completely honest.
I love it. That's part of your story, right? Because you're a wordsmith. That's part of your story. So who would you like to connect with here? If someone's watching this, how do they know you are the right person to connect with? Whether as a person, a client for a JV, a joint venture, who do you ping well with best?
That is such a great question. I am really interested in connecting with like-minded women that feel that they're one step away from their true selves. So as far as a client is concerned, if you want to talk being badass, what does that mean to you? I have a program, but I'm also happy just to chat. I'm always looking for guests for my podcast. Typically, if you feel you're badass already, let's talk, because I want the world to know your story and to understand why you feel that way and to celebrate it with you. Um, and I also just love to laugh. So really, I don't care what sex you are. If you are up for a good conversation that's going to challenge me, and you would allow me to challenge you, then I'd say let's connect for coffee for sure.
Well, there's some people in this group that are going to jive with that. You realize I just love what you said. I hope you're using that in marketing. One step
Yes,
away. One step away. That's a great program name. That's a great podcast name. That's a great everything. If that's what you're looking for, create a program called One Step Away so people go, oh my gosh, I like what she said because I feel like I'm on the verge, but I don't know how to get through these last few weeds or turn over this last couple rocks. One step away. Come see Mahara. She's got a program with your name on it.
I love it. You know what? I wrote it down because no, that's not the name of my program, but it sure can be, because it tells a story right there. You're one step away.
Yeah,
I love it.
and that's the call to action, the marketing stuff I'm studying. It's like the name needs to say what it is. And so I'm learning this myself. And when you said that, I was like, oh, you just said it. You just said exactly what you're looking for, one step away.
One step away. Beautiful.
Well, thank you for this lovely time. Is there anything else you'd like to cover while we are here?
Let me think. Yes, there is something else. I just want to share that I was blown away at this retreat. We had 16 women. Our retreat was called From Surviving to Thriving. And some of the women knew each other, because what happens is one person would sign up and then they'd convince their best friend to come. So there were groups of women that knew each other. I didn't know it. I knew one because I'd seen her at an event before. But what I was so blown away by was the willingness of virtual strangers to unpeel and be vulnerable with each other when they were given, when the right opportunity, when the right environment was created. So if there's anybody listening that thinks, you know what, I'm not sure if I need help, or that would be too uncomfortable for me, don't stop looking, because when you find the right energy and the right support, amazing things can happen with your own journey. Because I witnessed it, and I was, like I said, within 5 days, we started with a group of strangers, we ended with a group of best friends, and the growth that happened within those 5 days was amazing. So give yourself a break and know that your group is out there, and I suspect your group, Amos, that you've created very much epitomizes that safety and that opportunity for growth that we're all looking for.
What did your mom say about the moss? What was the phraseology she used?
Oh, she just said, sweetheart, if you're really quiet and you use your pinky finger and gently rub the moss, the fairies will come out.
So there's another marketing thing right there, because you were just talking to women who are there. You just said like they don't know, or they might be giving up. And so if you encourage them, the phraseology there to come in and whatever, rub, tickle, whatever that word is,
Yeah,
the fairies, the magic.
the
You're
magic.
just, your mother
Yeah.
is just, I think
She's
it's
the boss.
amazing. Well, you guys are intrinsically tied into your coaching and into your writing. And so it's coming, it's all here. It's all here, Mahara. Yeah.
Thank you for that. I use the word magic quite a bit, actually. And I just was sending a little message off to this group of women because we're doing follow up with them. And one of the quotes that I'm sending them is my own, but it says, in between moments, what does it say exactly? There's magic between every moment. Look for the magic. And what I'm thinking about that is, sometimes we look back on our life or our week and we go, oh my God, this big thing happened. But I think there's magic in the little moments in life. There's magic when the old lady smiles at you from across the street. There's magic when the young boy delivering the paper grins, right? And he has no teeth. There's magic when somebody that you thought was an ass because he never says hi to you in the neighborhood asks you how your day's going. So to me, those are the magical moments that really build our life. If we can look for them, they're there. Speaking of magic.
Well, thank you for that. Thank you for that reminder. It's beautiful.
You are
If you have
welcome.
been watching, listening to Empower Network TV, you've been listening to Mahara, Mindfulness with Mahara, and please connect with her. Let her know what you appreciate in the comments. There are a bunch of people, I should tag some people that I know will really appreciate how you're vibing, and they're going to love hearing the story about your mom and how she's woven throughout this. Thank you for being here. I'd like to continue chatting with you after this. I'll just, if that's
Okay.
okay with you,
Yeah, of
we'll just
course.
stop the recording here and we'll continue. Thanks everyone for watching.